So you're 26, you're in the top 0.001% of income earners at your age, not coming from an inherited wealth.
I just felt like, I've always thought like, if that person can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And so I was on the sidelines watching like 10K a month, 20K a month, 30K a month. I'm in my apartment, I'm on the mission. Like everything that I'm doing right now is like for the people that I care about. Go and check that box up here. It's like, bro, you got to check these 15 boxes down here.
Welcome back to Backtracks, the podcast where we go back into the lives of successful individuals and examine exactly what makes them so special. Today, I'm joined with the one and only Mr. Dylan Vergara, the founder of Serial Sales. He's training for a marathon right now. Super cool guy. In fact, he was the one that introduced me to Dawn. So if you guys don't know Dawn, you're going to have to ask Dylan to introduce you to Dawn. Dylan is the founder of a company, Serial Sales. They've generated or are generating this year over 8 figures for clients. It's the end of November, so I'm sure they're pretty close to that milestone already. And he personally has closed around about $4 to $5 million in deals himself. Dylan, I got to ask, what's one thing that you just love to do for fun, or that's kind of weird, something that does not relate to your personal life or your professional life at all?
Scroll on TikTok.
And a little doom scroller?
I'm a TikTok user, bro. Like, I always love to hear the stereotypes about people on TikTok because it's like they're stupid, they're out of shape, they're broke, they're all these things that you would think are not things you want to be. But then I'm like scrolling on TikTok and I'm like, I'm gonna TikTok shop, buy this right now. So yeah, I'm a TikTok scroller.
I love it. Dylan, how old are you, bro?
26.
So you're 26. You're in the top 0.001% of income earners at your age, not coming from an inherited wealth. You're in amazing shape. You're prepping for the Austin Marathon in January, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It really February.
Yep.
Yeah. Goes to show that literally everybody's on social media, huh? That's pretty What kind of content you watching on TikTok?
Whatever. I don't know, dude. I go through phases right now, but like I watch like sports highlights and stuff on there, and then I like funny stuff. Like I like funny movies.
Okay.
But I don't have the time to watch like funny movies because they're long, and I don't like to commit to something that long because I might fall asleep. So I just scroll TikTok. I get to catch up on like, I don't know how bad UT beat Kentucky last week, and then I scroll to the next one. And it's like someone falling off a skateboard or something. So it's fair. Entertaining.
That's fair. That's awesome. A lot of your background, Dylan, before you became a multi-million-dollar sales guy with a sales agency, a lot of your background was skate life, right? So you grew up ripping the half pipe on a skateboard, I'm sure, and going to the park with all your buddies in the middle of the night. Yeah. What was that like growing up in skating culture? Did you ever expect to be in the sales culture?
No, I mean, skating culture, I loved it, dude. It was great. I mean, now that I'm out of it, it was more so about just like the people I was doing it with, to be honest, because I had really good close friends that just like we would bond over it. I realized that once they started moving away, we got jobs and all that stuff, and I could still skateboard, but I wasn't able to do it as much with the people I wanted to, and it became like a little bit less fun. But I never thought I'd be a salesperson. I didn't even that wasn't even on my radar at all.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, going back, I grew up in somewhat of the quasi-skater world, more of the snowboarder world. Yeah. And, the dream life was being able to ski any mountain and smoke joints whenever you wanted. It was definitely not capitalistic.
Yeah.
Going back to where you were in high school, middle school, these days where you're skating with all of your buddies, what was your opinion or your view on capitalism, on building a business, entrepreneurship?
I honestly kind of just thought like, I'll be there, or I'll pay attention to it when I need to pay attention to it. Like I knew that I did want to be like well off. I wanted to provide and all that stuff. I just viewed it as like a completely separate part of my life, which I don't know if that hurt me or benefited me. But I always just knew like I was going to figure it out. Like I was always good in school. I was like the low effort guy who was like could hold his own like in math and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't really study that much. So I was like, dude, if I can do this while not really applying myself, like if I go into the real world, like I know I can figure something out.
So having this like kind of low effort, high result, big expectations for life, but relatively low preparedness, right? You're not stressing as a freshman about what the career is going to look like 10 years from now.
No.
Does that still play out in your life today?
No, I mean, it's kind of different. I would say like if you asked me 6 months ago, I was like grind mode, and like I'm still grinding, but it's just different because we have like team in place, and it's something that's like completely new to me now because like, you know, we'll probably talk about sales a good amount on this. Like before I was the one selling things, and I was the one managing the sales teams and all that stuff. And I still do a little bit of that, but now it's just like, it's more like leadership, operations, like running a operation pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
You actually have to think ahead and prep for productivity and goals to set, goals that are realistic to attain, rewards for that. It's a totally different beast. So coming off of the skater background, you go to college, right? Community college, I believe. And during this time, you're looking at a little bit of money TikTok or money Twitter, excuse me. So you're seeing these guys posting about e-commerce and Facebook advertising. I'm sure Iman Godzu is a big part of that world for you.
Kind of, yeah. Well, actually, I didn't go to community college. I went to UTSA.
Oh, excuse me.
Antonio.
Yeah.
So there's UTSA. Put some respect on the name, but I'm just kidding. But that's exactly what happened. Like I was in college, and I was like, it was literally just like a box that I just needed to check. Like I wasn't like, oh, I got to go to college and learn this so I can get this career and do this. I was just like, okay, right now I'm doing college, and I just checked the box, and then after that I'll be working the job, whatever. It's kind of like a weird way to think about it, but yeah. I saw for the Twitter guys, there's this guy Nate Schmidt, e-commerce guy. I found him, and like his whole story was like, I was a pizza delivery driver, and I was able to sell these products online. I escaped the matrix, and he's like a very relatable college guy. Yeah, and that's how I fell into the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. But it took you a while after falling into the rabbit hole to actually go all in on it, right?
Bro, years. Yeah. Like that was like 2017 when I found it, and I didn't really like actually find success until like 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's watching you build. Dylan, I've known you for, I think, around about a year now, close to that. And watching you build has been very interesting to me. You just described like when you decided to go to college, you go to UTSA and you're like, all right, I'm just doing this college thing. And then after that will be the next thing. Something that's very unique about you, about your personality that I appreciate, is it seems you make a decision. It may take you a while to reach that decision, right? Like watching the money Twitter for a while before going all in on it. It may take you a while where you're kind of dipping your toes in the water, but you make a decision like I'm going to college. And then it doesn't seem like you allow in a lot of distraction or noise.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair. Because I do take a while to make a decision. So I evaluate all the pros and the cons. And then when I make the decision, I want to make sure that before I make another decision, I'm like fully seeing through that to make sure I understand like if it's what I want, if it's not what I want. And my whole thing is like I want to give it a fair shake before I end up just wasting my time, you know? So yeah.
Do you have kind of a framework for qualifying like this fair shake, right? Like I had the advice from a friend recently, go all in on something for 3 months. And then at the end of the 3 months, put your head up above the water and see if it's actually worth your time.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I do start new stuff now, just because like as you probably experienced too, like as you get more traction, it's not about like the opportunity. There's no shortage of opportunity. It's like bandwidth. And so it can be really easy, like especially if you have multiple projects, like these two are going well and this new one's not going that well, and like day in, day out, you're like, I just don't like this one. But if you can hold yourself accountable to be like, okay, for 3 months, like I'm going to do this and I'm not going to think about it for 3 months and then I'll evaluate. I mean, I found that to be like pretty helpful for me, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the biggest kind of highlight there is like just being willing to actually look at an opportunity, say, what's the opportunity value here? Is this aligned with my current priority? And then am I willing to actually go all in? Yeah. But I think like a lot of the time, at least in my life, I think you're a lot less impulsive than me. I don't know if you've noticed that around our relationship.
Yeah.
But like I'll make a decision and then I notice, and this is maybe something that hasn't served me, but I'll like half make the decision. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that thing, but I don't really think through every single angle that I could. And then, you know, a week later, something else comes up and I'm like, oh, that's way more attractive to me.
Like, yeah. I have this new business that I know if I had 90 days and nothing else to do, I could get this to like 100K a month recurring. And like the blueprint is in my mind. But because I know it's so possible and I know like exactly how to do it and I know it's a lot of work, I just like haven't done anything, because if I split my attention off of that versus like what I have going on already, it's like, it's just, I can already project out where this is going to bring me across everything, and it's too much. So now I'm just kind of like sitting on this idea before the like 90 days of action. I'm just like evaluating. I'm kind of watching these other things and see how they go up or go down, and then I'm just trying not to make a decision and not give it a fair shake. Like going back to that.
Yeah. It really just comes down to that. It's interesting once you've like done something once, or you see the full landscape on it, and then you see another opportunity. You're like, okay, that's $100K a month, maybe a 70% profit margin or 60% profit margin, whatever it is, in this space. But then you know how much work goes into it and what the consequences are and what else you might be passing up on.
Yeah.
And for you right now, maybe $100K a month isn't actually all that much relative to the opportunities that you have in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, I've like, okay, so I run like a coaching business. It's like info/service. And then I run a service-based like sales agency. And like, I've taken in my mind all the things that I love about both of those, because those are the two common like online business models, unless you do drop shipping, whatever. But like, I've taken everything I love, everything I don't love, and I formulated this business. I'm not going to dox it on here because I don't want anyone to steal it while I sit on it. But yeah, pretty much it's like, it really does come down to the opportunity cost. And especially people talk about like the seasons of life, like to earn your first X amount of dollars, you might do this, but then that's not the vehicle that's going to get you to the next, like the milestones. And so like, I'm kind of going through that right now, having like gone through these other businesses and still in them, and just trying to like weigh things out. But yeah, it comes down to opportunity costs for sure.
It really does. Especially it's like when you have momentum to like, it's really hard to be willing to jump off of all of the momentum you have for something completely new.
Yeah. I was thinking about this last night for the first time, and like, I felt like as I started to grow my businesses, like I would inherently just like start to feel like guilt for some reason. I don't know why. Like this was a very new thought to me, and I haven't gotten to like think through it fully, but I was feeling guilt. I know one thing is, if I shut those businesses down, I would feel guilt because of the team.
Yeah. People lose their jobs.
Yeah.
You're feeding families.
So that's one thing. I know that's one thing, but like, yeah, I don't know. I got to think about that some more.
Yeah. Is this something that the guilt, do you think that's something new, or has it always kind of been in the background, or?
No, because I'm actually like really evaluating this new business that I'm thinking of is like so attractive that like I'm really like crunching the numbers and like really thinking through, what if I shut this down and do this or whatever.
Yeah, what would it take?
But as I'm like unraveling all that, I'm trying to figure out like why I would or wouldn't do this, and like just really getting to the bottom of some stuff. And like, I don't know, I haven't really figured it out yet. It's not like an overwhelming thing. Like it's a positive thing, but still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's fun. And it's always unique too, because it's like I actually had a conversation yesterday with a buddy who handed off a business idea he had to a good friend of his, and he's like, hey, I just don't have the bandwidth, but this is legit. And that buddy's spun up the company, and it's like 3 months in, and he's doing $1 million a week. And the business is going to burn out in maybe 3 months. It's not a long-term thing, but he spun it up and he can be super aggressive with it. And so my buddy who passed on the idea, he's like, look, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm trying to build a legacy company that's 40, 50, 60 years old. Like I can actually build it over my life. And it's interesting because it's like, and we talked through this last night. He's like, he could have put his existing business on autopilot and kind of let it stagnate where it is. Is that kind of how you're evaluating as well? Like,
yeah. Because also too, man, like, and you're connected to a lot of like cool people doing stuff. It's like, yeah, you get good at different things and you can do things, but when you like, especially being here in this house with all these guys, like there's probably stuff y'all think about every single day. Just like, oh yeah, we could do this. We could make this much money in this time period. And long term, it looks like this, like, so I don't know. I mean, it's a balancing act for sure.
It is. How much of you choosing to go, because I know a little bit of context, your background, UTSA, Amazon delivery driver, right?
Yeah.
And then out of that, you get into roofing. and then roofing estimates. So you're first working on roofing as like a project manager, and then you start estimating projects. That was maybe your first real high ticket sales job where you're like, wait, I can actually make good money here. And that led you into, in combination of the roofing estimates and the money Twitter that you're watching on the sidelines, you finally decided to jump into high ticket online sales. And so that was kind of the come up there. How much of those decisions and those different career pivots, and then even going from high ticket sales into building a high ticket sales agency, are you thinking through analytically like this of opportunity value versus how much of it was more so just by faith or like gut feelings of like, okay, I think this is the thing I need to be doing?
It was opportunity. It was just like analyzing the opportunity and like relative to where I was at each time I was like, this is worth jumping to. Like when I went from Amazon to an actual construction company, I was like, yeah, of course I'm making $18 an hour. Like I'll be all right if this doesn't work out. And then from project management to estimating, it was like another jump in income. And then from estimating in the roofing sales to the high ticket sales was the first time where I didn't jump for income, but I jumped for like lifestyle. Because I was making like, I was going to make just under $200,000 in my second year in roofing sales. And I was like midway through the year. So I'd already made some good cash. And I was like, dude, what am I supposed to just do this for 30 more years? Like that sucks. Like, I mean, the money's cool. And I was like, I don't know, I was young, just out of school. So
be like, you could fall off a roof, or what happens when I actually want to have a wife and kids and I got to wake up at 6 a.m. to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Estimate.
Like my sister had I've never like really talked about it. It's not that deep, but my sister, we were at a family event and my sister had a dream and she was like, yeah, I had a dream like you fell off a roof and you got hurt. I was like, shit, like that's not good. And that's already something that had like been going through my head. I had like close calls and I was like, I know how to make the money. Like I have validation that I have the skill to make the money. Let me like find a better vehicle to do that. And that's how I jumped.
Because you already had proof that you knew how to sell. And you're like, okay, I have sales skills. So
yeah. And it was tied to sales, but it was like, I can provide $200,000 per year worth of value to this company. So it wasn't even like I'm the best salesperson. I was like on the top of the leaderboard at that company. So I always knew if I made the jump that if every shit hit the fan, I could go back there or I could go to like a different company. But
did it still feel like a risk jumping into high ticket info sales? Because like you didn't know that world that well. You just kind of jumped into it.
Yeah. Well, I had been watching for a long time and I had been seeing like these kids, like literal kids with this was their first sales job. They were younger than me. I don't know. I just felt like, I've always thought like, if that person can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And so I was on the sidelines watching like 10K a month, 20K a month, 30K a month. I'm in my apartment. I'm with the boys. And I was kind of getting pissed off. I was like, dude, I'm doing good volume in roofing. Like there's really nothing else between me doing what I'm doing here and doing it remote except jumping into it. And so
boom.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
And then you get into sales. At some point, obviously, you hit a revenue ceiling. Was there similar kind of what was the process between going from sales into agency? Because sales is, you're a mercenary. You're just out there. You're relying on your own skills. You eat what you kill. But my experience of you in building this agency is you're an operator. You're a lethal weapon as a leader and as a businessman. What was that kind of shift?
Yeah. A lot of it was off social media, bro, and like meeting people. Like as a sales rep, like you can take 8 calls per day. You can take maybe 10 for a little bit. But like I started meeting other business owners and off social media and getting introductions. I came to realize it's like, dude, I can't sell for all these people, but there's a lot of opportunity here to like, grow a business but also help people, help the business owners, help the sales reps. Cause I still do. I have an audience of salespeople and I have a community of salespeople. And I was like, how can I take all of this and monetize it basically? And that's how the agency came about, because there wasn't enough hours in the day for me to do it all.
For sure. I see a lot of people in any business, and I'm sure this has been true throughout history, of you'll have a an entrepreneurially minded person like yourself that sees an opportunity, like creating a sales agency. They see all this opportunity. But I see a lot nowadays with these guys that are, no sales experience. They've never been a closer. They've never done outbound. They've never closed high ticket or closed deals, that are like, let me just start a sales agency because that's where the real money is.
Yeah.
At what point do you feel like was there a moment where you're like, okay, this is when I was qualified to start the agency? Or because I personally, I think you need to actually have some background and experience before.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably like, okay, one, can I get attention from the business owners that I would actually want to work with? And then two, can I get trust from the sales reps to actually want to work with me and not jump after like a week? And once I realized that I had that available to me on both sides, then I was like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Do you think your background has prevented you from having imposter syndrome, or do you experience imposter syndrome?
I don't have imposter syndrome. The only thing that is a little bit different about what we do, because I do run on like the info side, helping the sales reps, I don't have imposter syndrome around it, but there's a lot of people out there, they market their trainings and all this stuff, basically saying like, I'm the best, learn from me. I'm the best at handling objections, learn my way. That's never been my angle. Like, I think I'm good enough at sales to do really well. Like, I'm a top percentile, like, salesperson when I was doing it, but like, that's never been my angle. Cause I acknowledge there's a bunch of different ways to do it. And so sometimes when it comes to like the actual selling, just because I don't really run with that angle, sometimes I'm just like, I don't even care to like argue with someone like who's better at sales or whatever. But
what's your angle instead?
With sales?
Yeah, and just like the angle when you're doing trainings or you're promoting your community, instead of saying I'm the best closer in the world, learn my closing.
Yeah. Well, we focus on jobs because like, dude, we have so many people. I'm not gonna like name drop, but like a lot of these big trainings out there, they're sales trainings, which like sales training is awesome. Sales training doesn't land you a job.
Yeah.
Like applying to jobs, getting in front of jobs, interviewing, building your resume, all that stuff. Like the actual dirty work is what gets you in jobs, and then having proximity to those. I have like beef with the guaranteed job placement guys that I won't really get into too much here, but like, yeah, bro. I mean,
so your community is this idea of, we're going to help you have proximity to job opportunities and give you all of the training and resources necessary to win those job opportunities. But we're not going to guarantee you a job. And you're not also going to get the best training in the world. So you're not trying to take this extreme angle of security with the placement or the best of the best quality with the training. You're saying, hey, look, we're going to give you the best that we can with both.
Yeah. And then I always have to get into this too. It's like, I don't want to undermine the training in there, because like there's 20 hours of training and it's good. Like I put a lot of effort into it, but like that, you could realistically, if you knew exactly where to go and what to search, you could go find that on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Like you're not paying for YouTube videos. You're paying for proximity to like high level salespeople and the opportunities to sell.
Yes.
Which I don't know. It's just like everyone runs with that sales training angle. I don't even remember how we got here. So I was going to try to tie it back to what we were talking about.
Don't even worry about it. I do have a question, because you're running a community of sales reps, and some of the guys in your community are next level. Like some of these sales guys are absolute killers and savages. Are there things that you learn from the guys in your community on sales?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm still like really involved in the fulfillment of the community. So like working with people, even on their resumes, reviewing opportunities, all that stuff. And I've learned a lot, like working with so many people with different backgrounds or different maybe limitations or preferences, and projecting that out over the course of, the 6 months that we work together. I've seen that like, dude, basically anyone can make it. And the biggest, it sounds like so cliche, but like the main thing that's going to hold anyone back, regardless of where they start from, is like the mindset that they have going into it. Because like I've seen people with everything up against them figure it out and do really well. And then I've seen guys that you would think they'll not have like any problem ever. They're, $20K per month earner in corporate, and they just can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So
what are a couple of those things that you've seen like really stand out about personality or mindset that make the difference?
for people who like succeed in it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always talk about like former athletes, former military, like guys that can have like perseverance, accountability, and
Yeah.
just can like fight through the hard times, which like applying to jobs is not a fun thing to do. Like cold application, shot in the dark, you get on an interview. It's just like a very uncertain thing. So if you can just trust the process, you'll probably do okay. And then like using what you opt into. So like if you join the community that I run, or if you join a program or something like that, using the calls, using the messaging, talking to the people, like literally just using it. There's so many people that will come into like info altogether and they don't watch the training. They don't do this. They don't use it. And it's like every single time, like if I go onto like our group live calls, we have live call 2 a week. The people that are on the live calls consistently are always doing the best.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So it's
you
just
like,
like,
showed up.
yeah. So it's effort, bro. Like to be honest, that's the thing. And like some people are a little bit too cozy. Like maybe they're in a good golden handcuff situation.
Right.
So sometimes like I would say too, the guys that have like their back against the wall do pretty well.
Yeah. I've seen the more and more I talk to successful individuals, whether it's fitness, finances, anything in life, it's like they just maintained consistency over time. They're willing to go through periods of eating shit and seeing zero results. And then on the back end of that, oh, look at that. Life is actually amazing.
Yeah.
They're just willing to actually put in the reps.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. I am super curious. Your life right now, relatively, is probably a lot more comfortable than it was when you're an Amazon delivery driver, right? You have the successful business. There's relative social status. Family life is, I don't know, but hopefully okay. So life is pretty good. You're in great shape. How are you maintaining that consistency? What does that look like now that you could just be cozy?
Yeah. I mean, you don't really understand it until you get there, but like people always say to kids starting businesses, they're like 14 years old. I want to start an agency. I want to make 10K a month. It's like, dude, just like enjoy the simplicity of school. Like just do school, bro. Go to the skate park, like be a kid.
Yeah.
And like, so when I was in Amazon, I was making maybe $3,500 a month. My rent was $600 a month, no expenses, no car payment, nothing. And like, I appreciate how simple it was.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't, love my life right now. My life is awesome, but like, yeah, it's way different.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very fun too I appreciate this perspective you've just shared, that I really don't think life, everybody thinks, oh, I make a bunch of money, all my problems go away, or I get a bunch of influence, all my problems go away. And I'm realizing more and more, like, actually there's always problems. Like life is never not going to suck. It's just what's the degree of complexity of the problem you're encountering, which directly correlates to the value involved in it or related to it. And so it's like the more complicated the life, the more complicated the problem, probably the greater return or sense of meaning you might derive from it. At least from my experience back when I was just like my life consisted of mountain biking and snowboarding. There was a really simple life and I enjoyed it, but it didn't feel very meaningful. And then in the periods of my life where I've encountered the most challenge, the most difficulty, the most complexity, are also the moments not only I was making the most money and enjoying, but also enjoying life and feeling a sense of purpose and fulfillment, unlike anything else I had ever felt.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I haven't really thought through that either, but just like how it gets more, the problems get more complex as the circumstances get more complex. It's very true. But I think it gives me a better appreciation, bro, for like, because, the day to day, I think it was before we started recording, but I was on calls like all day. It's like 4 or 5 p.m. right now. But like when I do get the opportunity to go to the skate park, which I don't really do too often, but like, or whenever I get to go hang out with like one of my hometown boys or something, it's like, you definitely appreciate it some more once you have the perspective of like, man, like this is what like really matters. Like, or when I get to go, all my family's in San Antonio. Yeah. Tomorrow, Thanksgiving, going.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's just like, it's really, it's a cool experience for sure.
Yeah. It feels good. That's, I was asked recently where, like, if I would ever move back to Colorado and if I want to raise my family there, and I do. And right now I snowboard once or twice a year, but it's like the most special time ever.
Oh yeah.
Versus like when I was doing it 100 days or 100 turns a year, like it was like, you know, it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, perspective, man, really changes the appreciation.
Yeah. That's why, dude, like, I mean, before I ever moved out of the hometown, San Antonio, like, I wanted to get out so bad, and I'm glad I did, and I love it here in Austin. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna move to like Florida. I'm gonna move to like somewhere far. I'm gonna get a house. I'm gonna start my life over there. But then I'm like, I don't know. I kind of just want to be like close to everyone. You know, like I'm probably thinking about finding something between like San Antonio and Austin, like buying some land, maybe a house eventually. And so, just as I get older, like you start to check some of the boxes. It's like, okay, by this age, I wanna have this. I wanna do this. And then you start checking these boxes, and you realize like, what's missing, you know? And then it's like, oh, it's this thing that I didn't even realize, which is like being close to my family, you know? Like I've always kind of been more of like a like go do it myself kind of guy, and I kind of had to like go do it myself and find out that was important by doing that. So
for sure, you gotta get out there, F around and find out. That's so interesting. It's something I've noticed. I'm only 24. And I've started to pick up on, like, it feels like life is almost accelerating. Of like all of my buddies, you know, we're mid to late 20s, but everybody's like ready to get married and buy a house and like appreciate the more sentimental things. And I'm having this conversation in my head between the difference of family and maturing in that way, of more the sentimentality, like almost how we'd associate like middle-aged people, versus this other conversation going in my head about like a sense of purpose and a sense of mission. So we talked a little bit about the family and looking at buying land somewhere between Austin and San Antonio. What's your relationship with purpose look like, and your mission or sense of service?
I think a lot of it right now, it's just like I'm on the mission. Like everything that I'm doing right now is like for the people that I care about. Like, I guess when I have my own family is like kind of why I justify like the late hours and the crazy work schedule and all this stuff. Like, I don't know exactly 100% what that's going to look like, where we're going to be, how big it's going to, like the family it can be and all that stuff. But like, I just kind of see it's like, dude, I'm a able-bodied male who didn't get sent off to like a foreign country for war. Like,
jackpot.
What else am I going to do? Like, I have nothing else to do but run it up and like try to set my people up. So like, I think, I don't know too, like you mentioned buying land and like kind of like keeping it cool. Like, I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Like, I would love to have land, love to have a house, but like, I feel like I'd get bored, bro. I think I need more money to do like big move things, and then I won't get bored. Yeah.
Being able to like take the helicopter off of the ranch to the private jet to go sign the deal wherever it is. Yeah, levels.
Yep.
That's I keep on coming back to, like, there's just levels to it.
For real.
Do you feel like you're sacrificing your personal life? Like everybody, oh, you're in your 20s, enjoy. Like, oh, like I was such an idiot in my 20s. Even business owners, right? Like some of the most successful, more old, like I would almost figure them as mentors. Yeah. They're like, bro, like put your head down, bust your ass, work 100-hour weeks, but freaking enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're sacrificing some of that?
I mean, really, bro, like a lot of my friends are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like all you guys that live here, like most of my friends, all of my friends in Austin are doing like really well. They're all business owners. And like, I mean, I kind of came here to create that, which is cool to finally have done. But like, maybe like, I just kind of see it like, dude, I would love, my goal is to like be in the position when I do have the family and all that, to like be extremely present and like available. And I mean, that's still like in 5-10 years, it'll be like a social thing that if I don't sacrifice now, I potentially sacrifice then.
Yeah. And
so I don't really think so, bro. Like I work out, I go outside, I have friends.
Yeah, you still introduced me to Dawn in New York, so there's...
Dude, I think Casey introduced me to Dawn, or maybe it was someone else.
I wouldn't be... That sounds like a Casey thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the Soho House until I think 2 in the morning, and then a 7-mile run at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Animal. That's what I think it's full spectrum living.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love it. I love it so much. I'm curious, the way that you're approaching life, the social life that you have here in Austin, the business you're building, how much of this do you think is predicated on your self-identity or your relationship with yourself? Like, would you consider yourself a introvert, extrovert, confident, insecure? Kind of what are these self-beliefs that you feel like have contributed to where you are?
Yeah, I used to be a huge like introvert, and by nature, like, dude, I'm not the guy who's gonna like pull up to a crowded spot and just be like, oh, what's up, like everybody, like dapping people up. Like if I know people, like sure, I'll be social, but like I'm what I need to be when I need to be it. Like if I need to be an extrovert, I can do that. Did you I know you came to the boat. Were you at the event that we had where we had the stage, the speakers?
Yeah.
Okay.
The speaking.
So, like, dude, I'm cool with talking in front of people like that.
There was like 80, 90 people in that room, right? Yeah.
It was more. It was like 110, 120.
Nice.
Yeah. So like
next time you do that, I want to speak, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I can do that. But bro, I remember like back in my college days, we had to do speech class, and I had like presentation on fucking Swiss Army knife or something, and I was like, I was shaking, bro. Like,
yeah.
So I've learned that like, dude, the life that I want is on the other side of me just doing what needs to be done, regardless of what I think of myself, what other people think of me. So yeah, I'm a chameleon.
Yeah. As is kind of necessary in life.
Yeah.
Dylan, okay, so you've got kind of this introverted nature, but then you're also building a brand on social media. What's that like building a brand on social media? Why are you building a brand on social media? If I don't really care about having a Lamborghini. I don't really care about everybody knowing me.
I don't know, bro. It started out, I was just documenting my transition from roofing sales to remote sales. Cause I mean, the way I found out about the high ticket remote sales was from people documenting,
right? And
they grew an audience. And then I figured, like, to me, documenting and building on social media in the beginning was like the commitment to myself that I am going all in. Like I'm doing everything that I can, because like if I'm not spending all my time selling, like I need to be productive and be doing anything that I can to increase my likelihood of success. And that's how it started. And then I started growing businesses around this that just like benefited from social media. And so now it's just something that I do, but it is interesting. It's something I've had to learn a lot, because like there's some people like, Tim, legit Tim, just an entertaining guy to listen to. Right. But like with me, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know some people are entertained with what I say, cause I get views on my stuff, but like, I've had to learn a lot on how to do it. And, even just by doing that, bro, I've gotten like more confident in content, but it's my best asset, bro. Social media, like the personal brand, and not for any like
so valuable,
not for like any kind of superficial like reason. It's like the value that it provides, the network, the connections, the opportunities. Like I would trade all the money in my bank account for my social media accounts to keep them. If someone asked me, they're like gun to your head.
Social media or bank accounts, you're on social media. I'm 100% there, right there with you. It's like the access to people that you wouldn't otherwise have access to, the ability to actually make a change or create an impact. Like if you really cared about something, you could make a post and be like, guys, I need everybody to go put your time and attention on this. And you could actually make something happen. Yeah. Like it's the most decentralized form of leadership I think we've ever had. Mm-hmm. I actually had Tim on the podcast last week. Nice. And it's so funny the difference between you and Tim on the podcast of we sit down before we even start recording. Tim is like, let me give you a couple hooks. And he's like, and then I woke up with and he's just like,
it's probably a lot louder in here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Way louder. But it's just a different energy, right? Yeah. And, it's like Tim may be able to, and he's a master getting millions of views and building these massive, massive followings versus what you're doing. It's like, it's the mile wide and an inch deep versus do I want to build something that's 1 inch wide, but a mile deep?
Yeah. It's also like, dude, I use it as my edge, bro. Cause like, I think it's just a little bit more relatable to the average person, not being the most like charismatic guy on camera and all that stuff, and nothing like against that. Like if I was that, that'd be cool too.
Right.
But like I found it to be kind of like my edge, and just like leaning into it has definitely helped.
That's good. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more Alex Hormozy approach of, hey, like this is me raw, this is who I am, and it's really focused on building trust.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually something that it's so underrated for me when it comes to social media, is when you focus on, let me measure my success based on the quality of relationships I'm building and the level of trust I have with my audience, not measured on views or followers, because there's a totally different perspective there.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I know just working with a lot of these social media brands, businesses, people, followers does not equal competency at all. Like,
no,
at all, bro. Like I have like I have less than 10,000 followers on Instagram and barely over 10,000 on Twitter, and like I can monetize my social media better than like people with a million, you know? Like it's just especially working with some of these people, bro, it's like it's very interesting to see that. Yeah.
No, I completely this lesson was meant to me back when I lived in Colorado. This would have been 2021. I had a friend, and she had over 2 million on TikTok and over 250K on Instagram. And she's like trying to figure out how to make her first dollar.
It's crazy.
And it blew my mind. And so it was this recognition of like, oh, attention is not the same thing as value, right? Because value is exchangeable. And I was like, wait a second, this is actually really important. Now, a question I get a lot that I guess I'll just kind of share with you because it sounds very similar to your process. People are always, what's my content strategy, or what's the best content format? How should I create content? You know, how do I do my content strategy? And it's like, okay, step one, just document everything. Step two is evaluate, right? I'm sure you've gone back and you've reflected, how can I do this better? How can I look at this better? So it's like evaluate or examine what you've already done, and then like reassess and figure out how you can do it better. And that's really the whole thing. It's like the content strategy is just you. That's it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I sell in all my content. Like my Instagram story, CTA. Like here's a link, here's a question. YouTube videos, CTAs at the end. TikToks, follow me, CTA. That's how I grew on TikTok.
It's just CTAs.
Like just the outcome that I want, I just ask people for it, and they do it. Like, I want you to follow me. I want you to book a call with my community, book a call. Like, I do it shamelessly because before that, I'm not just like not providing value and then asking. It's like value, entertainment, ask. And like just doing that over and over has proven to be pretty good.
Does it ever feel like you're trying to take something, or like, I notice a lot of the time people hate sales and feel bad about sales because it feels like they're trying to take advantage of someone, or it's like this really icky energy.
Like with selling through social media?
Yeah, sales in general. Like, do you ever feel like you're trying to take advantage of someone? Or putting a CTA at the end of a post. Do you ever feel that way?
No, because I know like I'm really big on like fulfillment. Like for being a sales guy, I feel like I focus on everything around sales to make sales the easy part. Like I'm kind of like, I'm not a lazy salesperson, but I'm a very like efficient salesperson. And so all the teams we run, bro, it's like I want to make it as easy as possible. And so usually the sale happens pretty easily. And I don't ever feel bad because like I know that our sales reps are going to be, they're going to be ethical. They're going to not close people who shouldn't be closed. I know that fulfillment wise, if they qualify to get closed, then we're going to take care of them. And so I don't really feel bad about it. Now, I mean, that being said, like, dude, I'm not the type of guy that's going to want to, strong arm somebody into like closing with their last dollar. Like that's just not what I do. I know some people will. Now, if someone makes that conscious decision and they're like, I want to make this change in my life so bad, and I don't know, like I found out today, bro, like, so I run the community, it's $4,000. I found out today that one of the guys who did 10K in his first month, when he bought the community, he had $4,038 in his bank account. Now, I didn't even know that. I can't remember if I spoke to him or someone else. And then he took a screenshot and it said minus 4,000, and it was just $38. And he did 10K in his first month. But yeah, bro, I don't feel bad about selling because like I know that we're actually changing people's lives.
Yeah. That's like you believe in the thing that you're delivering. So why would you? Amen.
And that's, bro, that's a testament. Like, would you sell it to your family? Would you sell it to your friends?
I think that's actually like step one. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
is this something I believe in enough that I would want to buy it and I'd want to give this to the people I trust the most?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's so key. I actually have this belief that, and this is actually part of the reason we all live together as roommates, or the guys here at the house, is I have this belief that your friends and your family should be your highest paying customers, and you should be the highest paying customer of your friends and your family if they have businesses. Because it's like, what's a better way to show support that you actually believe in the thing that they're doing? And what's a better way to test the value?
Yeah, that's true, dude. It's kind of interesting, man, because I noticed here in Austin, I don't know if this is public information, so I'm not going to talk about it here, but like we crowdfunded something for somebody on a special day the other day in the group chat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
He has like, no idea yet.
Okay, cool. So we crowdfunded this thing, and it's like, you know, I noticed, like, I know some of the people in the group chat. It's cool. Like, everyone's willing to like throw in.
Yeah.
But then I think about like some old relationships that I have. And when it comes to like business and stuff, and it's like, you know, people were asking like for discount. It's like, oh, you're my friend. Like, give me a discount. Yeah. Or like, it's just a totally different way of thinking and like people you surround yourself with. Because here in Austin, all these guys, like, they're willing to pay full price and more because, you know, if your service is good, they want to support you.
Bingo. How I see it is it's like, and this is, I've been on both sides of like, I've definitely sold something and under-delivered. And it's like the worst feeling in the world when you actually do that to someone you care about. Because then they don't get the results that you wanted them to get. And then I've also done the other where I've undercharged to someone I care about. And I'm like, oh, great, now this is a headache to me because I didn't actually ask for it. And so it's like there's a new framework where it's either free or it's full price. And so this is someone I love and care about. Either I'm going to do it by myself and I'm going to make it happen for them, or they're going to be a regular paying customer, and then there's no ickiness in the relationship.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of think about that too. The only issue with free is like you give something to someone for free and then they don't take it serious.
Yeah. I that's more of like I will always happily throw lifeboats at my friends.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, they need to figure something out, or there's a unique problem. I'm right there with them for sure.
Dude, I've had so many like dudes I went to high school with and I went to school with like find my stuff and they're like, damn, dude, like, how can I do this? And then I send them like this video and access here and whatever. And it's like, none of them ever make it work. And it's not even that they try and it doesn't work. It's that they don't try. And they're just like, oh, I'll get to it.
Doesn't that feel worse when someone like, you know, that they could figure it out and then they just never put in the effort?
Right. Yeah. It sucks too. Cause like, I mean, and I'm talking about like over a decent amount of people. Like, I'm not talking about one person in particular, but like when you know that person's like situation and you know what they're doing and how unhappy they are and how much better it could be if they actually made the effort, like it does suck, bro. It does. But also, I can't remember. Oh, like I used to serve tables back in San Antonio in school. And one of the guys, 2019, I served tables with him. He ended up going into sales afterwards. We like went our own ways, just like you do with people at serving jobs. Like you just don't talk to them again. And then he finds me and they're like, bro, he gets into the community, pays full price. He doesn't even ask for a discount, pays full price. And then just quits his job, what was he doing? He was at a dealership or he was doing something, medical device sales. Okay. He had like jumped around, quits that, goes all in, and then just starts crushing it, bro. And like that on the inverse of people not doing anything feels really good when you can like help people that
you actually know.
And like you knew them when none of what is your reality now is your reality. Like you were just a completely different person. It's cool.
Yeah, that is really the best feeling in the world. That's cool. I really love that. Yeah, no, it's a funny experience, man. I do want to kind of close up on just a few different things or nuggets that you've seen throughout your life of like different personality traits you think have served you really well, the key decisions or ways of making decisions that you think have done you really well. So I would love to look at just a couple kind of critical moments in your life and what you think is an attribute from each. So we'll kind of just go rapid fire through these if you're okay with that. Cool. The first one would be going from project manager to estimator in roofing. What's one thing about either how you handled the decision or your personality itself that you feel like helped make that click?
Chase the opportunity, man. Like, if you see this big pot of gold on the other end of I don't even know what the analogy is here, bro. Like, if you see a big opportunity that you really want, but there's a little hurdle in between you and where you want to be, jump the hurdle. Like, just go. That was the biggest thing, bro. I was an introvert. That was when I became like the chameleon. But yeah, bro, just go for it.
I love that. This is less public information, so we won't dive into kind of the details on it, but choosing to have a partner or a personal relationship in your life while building, a lot of mentors and gurus and successful guys will be like, oh, just do it alone. Like, it's a waste of time. It's a distraction. What was a part of that decision framework on why you wanted to build with someone versus alone?
Bro, it made more sense than, it made more sense than it didn't. Is that
Yeah.
I was like,
to have it was better than not.
Yeah. Like, whenever I found my girlfriend of a long time now, whenever we met, like, I was not looking at all, and then we got into things, and I was like, damn, like, even though I'm not looking, like, I can't just like pass up, you know, like this. If I were looking, this is exactly what I'd be looking for. And then when I met her, though, dude, I was an Amazon driver. Like, it was a completely different thing. So,
but have you like, has there ever been like the mental temptation of like, oh, like I could get someone better now that I'm successful? Like, has she grown with you?
Yeah. I mean, not as in like I can get someone better, but like I just feel like I can be a better version of myself for her or for like really anyone, like relationship wise. So no, I love not having to think about like that.
Yeah.
Not like I don't have to think about our relationship, but I love not having to think about like, oh, like, let me go find someone to hang out with. Let me go on Tinder or whatever. And like, I don't know, find out what we're going to do this Friday night.
Oh yeah. Such a big part of life to just always have a decision to make about.
Yeah. No doubt, bro. I would not be as far as I am now if I had been like single the whole time, just because it's a distraction. Not like a bad distraction, but it is distracting you from what you're trying to do. So.
Yes. A couple frameworks or just threads that I've noticed throughout this entire conversation that really stand out to me that I want to highlight is this decision to not wanting to come from a place of scarcity in your decision making. So like even these decisions, you're like, I think I would like, you're like, well, I'm already complete and I already was doing good in this area. So that's why I decided to do this other thing, or transferring your skills in sales just into a different vehicle of online sales versus roofing sales. So you seem to continue to make decisions from a full cup perspective instead of an empty cup perspective, which I just really want to highlight. And there's some really good examples of that throughout this conversation. The other thing that just stood out to me that you just highlighted with the relationship was this perspective of being in service and contribution versus asking and taking things. And so it stands out both in the community and the value you provide, how you think about putting call to actions at the end of every single thing you do, but also in terms of the relationship, you're like, yes, in terms of I'm now a better man and I could be a better man for anybody, instead of thinking about it in terms of me, oh, I could have someone better, or I could get something better, or whatever it is, this perspective of like, well, I'm just a better version of myself, or the content's just better. So I just believe that this is a good step for someone to take in contribution and service instead of just trying to pull things to you. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, inadvertently, I am doing it for myself because I know if I provide the best service I can in the community, it's going to come, like, the goodwill will compound. If I provide the best version of myself in my relationship, like, I'm going to get the best version of my partner.
Yes.
So like I definitely am doing it to benefit, like no doubt about that, but I'm willing to prolong the benefit and like see it compound like exponentially versus just like a little like stair stepper, right? Like give, take.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that.
But yeah,
it's actually very biblical. Like what you're talking about is a very, very, very biblical concept of like, it is so much better to just be in contribution, because like givers will always receive. You reap what you sow, right?
Yeah.
But it's I think like that actually might be one of the most purely solid foundations to build anything on, whether it's a relationship or anything else. Just do it good and you'll reap reward. Same thing, actually, we talked about this before we turned on the cameras of the podcast. Like, I don't really care where this goes in terms of how much money I make from it or how many people watch it. It's more so like, can I bring on interesting guests and have interesting conversations?
Yeah.
Way more important.
Yeah. That's it's definitely one of the, like, the foundational pieces of like character that you should try to evaluate before you like also engage someone else, whether it's a relationship or a business relationship or romantic relationship. But like, as you know, over the last 3 years, like pushing through the online business space and meeting a lot of people, you start to pick up on like what character traits actually make a difference. And which ones could be like detrimental to you based on what matters to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't even picked up on that until you brought it up.
Yeah, it's like it's selfish service of like, oh, I'm gonna give so much to other people that there's no other option but for me to win.
And it's also not like, oh, I'm gonna give so much and this is when I'm gonna expect something. It's like, inevitably, if I give enough, I will get back.
Yes.
And that's why, like, bro, like, our agency can be ripping. We could be doing, whatever revenue per month. And we're really excited about that. But, like, the way that I always look at it, even if we just hit, like, a record month, is just, like, imagine, like, this is cool. This amount of money is cool. But, like, imagine what we can do with this case study. Like, I'm always thinking about that. So, like, if we were ever to, like, lose a client, I mean, it would suck. But, yeah, I'm always just thinking, like, imagine what we could do with this case study, or imagine what can happen 5 years from now. So like a longer term thought process there.
Yeah, that's super huge. Outside of, what are a couple other character attributes that you've picked up? Because we're in a very Wild West industry. Like, there's a lot of icky stuff that happens in this game. What are some character traits that you've picked up on that you think lead to longer term success?
There's just the way people treat other people. Like how single dudes treat girls, or how they treat their girlfriends, or you've probably heard it, like how people treat like waiters, service staff, those are the main ones really, because how you treat your friends, like if you're a dick, then like that's not cool. Like, I'm just not even gonna want to be your partner. But like,
why would we be friends?
You know those guys, dude, where they talk about, like, you probably know some guys where they are talking about their girlfriend. They've been with them for like 2 years, but like they're talking like so bad about them. It's like, bro, that's weird. Like, you're kind of like, it makes you look bad directly, but also it's like, if you're the one who's with that person, like, what does that say about you? So like, so how people directly will treat other people when they don't need to treat them good.
When there's no obligation or expectation. Yeah. It's very interesting.
And then, bro, like, we're all so busy, and it can be tough to like really just make sure that everything you say you're gonna do gets done. But just like doing what you say you're gonna do, it's very like foundational. But I feel like a lot of people kind of undermine how important that is. Yeah. Even if it's something little, like if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Now it's not terrible if you don't do it, but you need to tell me that you're not going to do it, or that something happened, or like, you don't just not do it and not tell me why, you know, or else I'm going to have this perception that you just like, your word means nothing. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful. You know, it's interesting actually on that. I noticed that I love talking. I'm a big yapper, almost as much as Nathan, not quite. But I love talking. I really enjoy it. And it's so easy for me to get loose with my tongue. Of like, it's so easy for me to just like start saying things and not being mindful of what they actually mean. Yeah. And it's like, that is, I think for me, I like speaking as someone that just talks way too much, it's one of the most dangerous things about my personality that I have to be careful of, is like, if people are hanging on to my words and weighing my words with actual value or meaning, then I have to be extremely careful of each word that comes out of my mouth.
Yeah. That's why I don't talk that much. That's why I don't know, bro. Like I I try to not be, I mean, I'm a guest on this podcast, so it's like a little different, but like I'm always just observing, bro. Like I'm always just watching and like listening. And I feel like I can mess, and it's not why I do this, but like I feel like by not being always like talking and like having to worry about like my tongue, you say tongue being loose? Is that what you said?
Yeah, loose with my tongue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's just not really something I've actually personally had to experience, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, but it's also different. Like there's circumstances and things where it's like we know we're kind of joking or we're just scheming right now, but like, bro, if we're in like a business engagement and we're on a 30-minute Google Meet was scheduled 2 weeks ago or something, it's like that's the time where it's like, okay, if you say you're gonna do it, like do it,
Yeah,
right?
you have to.
Yeah, or else it's not good. Especially like if you're working with people that you know that have like mutual connections or like maybe it's your friends or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, bro. I've had some pretty bad experiences with people, like I'm sure you have too.
Yeah. No, it's a wild world out there, man. It's interesting. I've actually had some really negative experiences thanks to that PTSD.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's like these combinations of like just being a man of your word, like having integrity, actually exemplifying service. And like, I heard this thing, it's never about product perfection. It's about customer obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one of my favorite business minded quotes of like, it's not about having the perfect thing. It's about being obsessed with your client results. That's it.
Yeah.
And then it's like those in combination with focus and hard work and actual relative level of ambition, like willingness to look forward. I think it's the easiest it's ever been to be successful online. It's like, just build the business.
Yeah, bro. I mean, your product will never be perfect, especially from like the eye of the creator. Like it'll never be perfect. But like I experience this because we run these sales teams for all these different businesses, and some of them have the best customer support, some of them have okay. But if you deliver, let's just say like hypothetically, you deliver a service that somebody pays a lot of money for to 65% of what they were expecting, but your client relationship or whoever's in charge of managing the client is like 110% dialed in, that 65% without any kind of support, any kind of relationship is a negative Trustpilot review, a chargeback, it's bad word of mouth, bad press, like it's really bad for you. But the 65% with like an awesome customer support rep, clear line of communication, plan to fix it, all that stuff, like, I mean, it's like a totally different situation. So like, it's super important, bro. Super important.
It's the key.
Yeah.
Client success. Actually, when I was building my agency, there was a client that comes to mind that we should not have kept, but we kept because of our CSM. She was just a rock star. It's next level. Tell me a little bit. I'm just curious. Popped into my mind. How are you building your community? What platform are you building on? Kind of what's the intention on building it long term for you?
Yeah, we're on all the platforms, bro. I mean, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, pretty much all of them. I have an email list. I don't mail to it though, but have that too. Instagram's the main one right now. TikTok was for a little bit. It might start up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, just posting a lot of content. Like all of the marketing around that is results from inside. Amen. So it just like goes back to what we're talking about.
And then you house your community in Slack or
School.
Nice.
Yep. School nice. And Zoom.
There we go. I know that school has, at least in my experience, had it's kind of difficult sometimes to get a main line of communication to support when it comes to like you hosting a community for your members to contact you. How have you guys, to your point, how have you guys solved around that to make sure that the members actually know how to communicate with you?
Yeah, bro, there's some features missing from school, but I've been using it for over a year now. A lot of different touch points. Like we have one-on-one or small group calls that like every member that comes in, there's a series of like 5 small one-on-one or group calls that they'll go through. And like, so we just make sure as like, let's just say the closer closes someone, they book that call. Then the CSM, it's the onboarding call. The CSM takes the onboarding call. They book the first call with me. So like we always make sure that by the end of that call, we're getting the next one on the calendar. So we don't rely on like sending a message and hoping we hear back.
Yeah, that's huge. There's a clear handoff of, hey, you've talked to me today. You're going to talk to Dylan in 2 weeks or a week from now. So there's a clear expectation of if you have problems in the next 2 weeks, be prepared for that call because that's when you'll have the opportunity to present them. Yeah, that's good. Clear handoff is important.
Well, that's the thing too, bro. A lot of these people, especially in info or coaching, like they don't have, there's too much ambiguity. Like they leave it open to interpretation as to what is supposed to be done next. And so in order for us to like really make sure that most of our members are getting the end result that they're going for, it's like we need to take the path into our own hands and force them through it. Like they're here because they want to be forced through it. I'm not saying that in like a bad way, but like we need to make sure that they cannot mess up the path. Because if you put it in their hands, like some people will figure it out. A lot of people will, some people won't. And then they'll blame it on you. So like if they're going to blame it on me anyways, I'm going to force it the way that it should be. Right?
I mean, it's the same thing as like a high school sports coach. They're going to tell you how many push-ups to do, when to do them, when to be at practice, what to eat, what to drink, like as it should be. It's either you do the thing or you're not playing the game. It's pretty simple.
Especially on the like 0 to 1 type business models. So like how to like, not like, oh, you're a business owner who does $100K a month, come work with me. But like hey, you want to break into remote sales. You want to, I don't know, start on TikTok shop or whatever.
Right.
That's important because those people like it's a very emotional process too. Just like usually they've never bought anything like that. It's expensive. It's a big commitment. It's a lifestyle change or a life.
It's a whole life change.
Yeah. Occupation change potentially. So like, yeah, bro, like you got to minimize time to value has to be shrunk. You got to minimize the opportunity for them to like become emotional and change their mind in a good way. Like don't be like reckless with it, but like reassure people and then just like make sure that the path is clear.
I think this is a huge responsibility as effective salespeople of like knowing when to sell and when not to, especially when it comes to an emotional buying process like B2C. Where it's like you could sit there on the call and high pressure close anybody, but is that really the ethical thing to do?
Yeah. No,
it comes to my mind a lot.
I always lean towards like, well, maybe it's different because like I will take some calls for our community like overflow sometimes, and I'm probably the worst closer because I'm just like, I'm not at the point where I just like need the commission to pay my rent, like, but also like, I just know that fulfillment wise, I'm the one who has to work with these people, and like if I close someone in that shouldn't have been closed, like I'm delaying I'm delaying an awkward conversation that's going to happen in like a week or two. So,
and then you have to do chargebacks or refund requests and it's just like, oof, that's on you.
Yeah. I was filming a VSL. I'm still like editing it, but in the VSL, I said like of our last 100 high ticket clients, we've not had like a single chargeback or refund, and we're pushing, Instagram, paid ads. We're doing Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. But like, I know that like most people in info like could not say the same. Yeah,
that's a super powerful social proof. Like, screw the results. Hey, our clients are so happy they don't leave.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's super amazing. Anything else you want to talk about before we close up?
Not really, bro. I think that was it. We talked about agency, info, some like deeper personality kind of stuff.
I actually have one other thing to note that you just mentioned about when taking someone into your community or coaching someone through a process that may be new to them. Something that you highlighted was this, like forcing them through the process or really ensuring that there's a high degree of clarity and accountability through that whole process. It's like, what's my level of accountability here? What's my level of visibility on yes or no? Did you do the thing or not? Like you got to make it very clear. It's either binary and there's actual feedback from that. I actually noted I've been working with a lot of like really high level and senior guys. I mean, guys that have founded, mid 20-year-old dudes who are running 7 and 8 figure operations, 9-figure operations. And even these guys, it's the same thing. It's just to our point in the conversation earlier about complexity of problems. They're just different levels of, maybe it's not one binary thing, but it's it's an envelope of 10 different binary decisions that add up to
Yeah.
the outcome that's measured.
Yeah.
But I still see that level of importance.
Yeah, dude. That's an interesting concept that I had that realization a while back, and it's so many different things, bro, in problems and goals and like tasks that need to be done within your business. Like the one thing that you're trying to achieve or that you need to do or that is on your schedule is usually comprised of like many things. And
Yeah. Micro tasks.
yeah, literally micro tasks. Yeah. And that's so like if your one thing is $10,000 per month in remote sales, it's like you can't just go and check that box up here. It's like, bro, you got to check these 15 boxes down here, and time needs to elapse so that way you could actually check the top box. Like,
Yes.
that's one thing too. Like some people just don't realize, like, no matter what you do, like sometimes time just needs to elapse. Like you need to have checked these small boxes and then watched those like take into effect over time before you can get to the 10K a month or whatever.
It's like this willingness to like break it down into granularity, like as small of steps as possible, be impeccable, like have an attention to detail, and have a massive amount of impatience. Like check the boxes as like, don't wait, do not delay, have a level of urgency and an attention to detail. Make sure you do it with excellence. But then it's like, calm down, bro. Just wait. Like, it's on the way.
You have to, well, it also, that's why like mentorship is so important, bro. Cause you need to be able, if you can't decipher yourself, especially if you're doing something new, it's like, you don't know when to be calm and when to put your foot on the gas. And so having someone like a step or two ahead of you that's been there and helped people do that is very valuable. Cause like I have these one-on-one or group calls with people in my community, and like, they'll come into it and we make it very easy. We make it very binary. Yes or no. Did you do this or not? And they'll come into it, and it's funny. Like the ones that are behind, it's always like, without me ever having to say it, it's always them saying like, yeah, I'm behind. I messed up. I didn't do this. Whereas like, I know a lot of coaching programs, like they don't even get people in the position to make those realizations. They just charge back. Yeah.
Because they don't, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I need to be. I don't know what I should be focused. And it's like, actually put them in a position where they're so equipped to succeed, where their roadmap is so clear that it's like, okay, I'm messing up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty crazy concept. Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be cool to dive into that in some content one day, but yeah, bro. Info is like, it's a gold rush. Like you said, wild, wild west. There's just so many people you can tell, like, it just has a bad rap because of those people, you know? But like, if you do it right, like, you can really build something awesome. And
I think it's also like, you can change more lives with this than almost anything else. And yeah, you know, like there's always going to be, I grew up doing manual labor. I grew up like doing construction, fixing and flipping houses with the family, ranching. Like there's an absolute demand for that we cannot undervalue or understate. And I'm like, I never want to see the erosion of the middle class, of like blue collar America, blue collar the world. But there's like, this is transformative stuff. Like you can, for someone that actually wants to be in this type of work, it's real. But to your point, it's like the information's available on YouTube for free or Google for free. So you got to sell the implementation, the accountability, the clarity, not just the things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always, you know, there's an epidemic of people in info too that sell these opportunities as like, they're very easy, bro. They're passive. You don't have to do that much. It only takes this. Like I'm always, and this is maybe why I'm not, it's probably unrelated. I was gonna say why I'm not the best salesperson, but I think it actually helps. Bro, I'm always like telling them like this is a lot of work. Like I'm always, I mean, it's that whole process of like pushing for the no and like a frame of like, feeling people out to like, you know, disqualify them. But by doing that, they trust you more and all that stuff. But like that has served me like since I got into high ticket, which is like, making people like making it but like making people realize that like however much work they think it's going to take, it's probably going to take more. You should expect that. However hard it's going to be or however much time it's going to be, it's probably going to take more. So yeah, bro, just like expectation setting. I learned that on the agency side, the info side.
no matter who you're working with, it's important to know.
Yeah. And then expectation setting goes back to like just doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's delivering a service or like a B2B service or B2C. So yeah, bro. I mean, just like if you carry some of those like fundamental character traits through into business with you, whether you're selling to info or agency or whatever, like you'll do pretty well. You have to be good at what you do too. Like,
yes.
But if, those traits will make up for you not being the best. Not saying you shouldn't be the best. You should try to be the best. But like, I'm not going to go and say like, oh, like I'll outsell Alex Hormozy any day. Like, why would I say something like that? Right.
Yeah. You're setting yourself up to fail. And I think actually a lot of these things, whether it's, let's say the blue collar example of like working with concrete or making paintings, or it's something like sales where there's absolute legends like Jeremy Minor, Andy Elliott, Alex Hormozy. It's kind of hard to quantify who's the best sales guy or who has the best closing strategy because it varies on industry and personality. And
yeah, it's so funny, bro. Like when people hate on Jeremy Minor, he's like, oh, his stuff is so bad. Like, bro, have you seen that guy's house? Seen that guy's car? Like, he doesn't do too bad. Like, are you sure it doesn't work? Like,
yeah. No, that stuff works, man. NEPQ, solid stuff.
Yeah, so it's just funny, bro. I think it's just because people are so young in this space too, and they just like they find out that like, holy crap, like I can take a 30-minute call and collect $2,000. It's like, bro, I'm a millionaire, like basically already. And then they just like get so ahead of themselves and they focus on like new sales versus product, because product isn't. I mean, unless you're like a geek, like product just, it's not the most fun thing or fulfillment. Or maybe it is depending on what you do. I don't know. I'm a sales guy, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like doing the stuff that's not fun, like the Google Sheets, the tracking.
Yeah. The content production.
Having the hard conversations too, because like if your clients aren't getting the results, being able to dive into that and figure it out and then make sure that the next ones or the other ones do have good results. Like, some people just don't want to face the reality of it. So
that's facts. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. It's like this, we as a society, we've gotten so like hypnotized with like the shiny objects and the outcomes, and everybody's so obsessed about getting the thing and instant gratification and being a millionaire tomorrow. It's like, nah, dude, obsess over the inputs, like obsess over picking the right path and doing it better, as good as you can.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, like unfortunately you kind of have to, I mean, I wouldn't call it like rock bottom, but like you have to experience something that opens your eyes to the other perspective. Like you have to, I don't know, you have to have your biggest client leave. You have to have your Stripe account get shut down because of chargebacks. Like you, I mean, I haven't, but like the average person, I feel like, especially younger guys, like they need to be like scared straight a little bit.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I feel like the reason I've been able to avoid that is because I just like project out the stuff and I'm like running the scenarios in my mind. It's like the way this is trending, it's not going to be good. I'm stopping. Like I'm cutting.
Yeah. You can actually see worst case scenarios and then cut them off.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good friend of mine, one of the better sales mentors I've ever had. He was like, you either need to build someone up or you need to bring someone down, but it's always one of the two. It's like either they just aren't willing to do things and they're too timid, or it's like, but a lot of time, you're talking like high testosterone, mid-20-year-old able-bodied males. It's like these guys should be like digging tunnels and going to wars, and instead they're sitting on laptops eating steak. It's like, they definitely, cut them down a bit.
Yeah, dude.
It's real.
Salespeople are interesting people, bro. So, and the business guys, like, I mean, most of the guys that are running these businesses, like, you have to be a salesperson. You don't have to be a stereotypical one, but like, you have to embody that confidence and be able to turn it on when you need it. And just interesting people. Yeah.
I've noticed it's like sales is probably the most, like, it's the lifeblood of a business. It's like, obviously you need a skeleton, you need strong bones, which is product, but if you can't sell, it's like, you have no heartbeat. You have no blood.
Yeah, you could sell yourself to $1 million with only being a good salesperson, like not a good product, not good marketing. Like you can really force your way to $1 million, but that's how you basically experience one of those lessons that's like, oh shit, like fulfillment is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's like, I do believe, especially with social media and the age of the internet, like we have more accountability than ever before. And what that looks like is your reputation lasts a lot longer than it ever has, right? Like people are pulling skeletons out of people's closets that are 30 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, reputation has become increasingly more valuable and is increasingly less forgivable. So let me just not play out those mistakes as much as possible because the accountability is higher.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The last thing you want to see is a Twitter thread that says like exposing this guy, and it has like 3 million impressions. And don't be a Twitter thread. Don't be a Twitter thread. Yeah. Or a CoffeeZilla video. Yeah. 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 None of that. It's a real thing out there. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Yeah. I know it's been a long day, a long, hard day at work. But this is solid conversation. Yeah, enjoyed it. It was awesome. Nice studio. If you guys ever get the chance to record, come on down. Are you doing all in person? I take it, right? Yeah, we'll probably do. If I get some strategic opportunities, we'll probably do some remote stuff. But like Obama or something. Yeah, maybe Obama or something. You could probably get him down here. Yeah, I'm sure he'd fly to Austin for this. Yeah. Joe Rogan's just down the street, so that's easy. Yeah. You know, Elon, I'm sure, will come on at some point. Yeah. Crazy. Casual. Yeah. Dylan, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up, learn some sales? Serial sales, pretty much everywhere. On Instagram, 2 S's at the end. So serial, like serial killer. It just rhymes. Serial sales, yeah. Cereal, not like what you eat, but cereal like repetitive. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, bro. When I started my Twitter, I was like, it has to rhyme, and I was like, sales, like, oh, it doesn't rhyme. It's an alliteration. Yeah, serial sales. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, let's roll with it. And I never thought like, okay, I would build 2 businesses with the name in it, and like, I just didn't think through it that much. But yeah, that's what it is. Here we are, serial sales. Great, serial sales on all social media. 2 S's on Instagram. Thank you again for coming on the podcast. Everybody listening to this and this conversation, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was a valuable conversation for you. As always, remember to subscribe here on YouTube. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, and comment the most valuable or interesting takeaway you had from this podcast. And if you want to either join the podcast, ask me questions about the podcast, or are looking to build a brand on social media, go ahead and DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is @HarrisonColey. It'll be linked down in the description, as well as Dylan's. Thank you again for tuning into Backtracks, and we'll see you next time.